Hi, I'm Anke Summerhill from Minotti, London, and today I'm at the beautiful Gensler offices in London with Collin Burry, principal here at Gensler. And Collin just showed us around earlier, and we're very impressed with the beautiful working environment you have here. But now it's about you. So, Collin, tell us your story. How did it start? How did you become an architect, and how did you end up where you are today?
So I'm actually originally Canadian. I grew up in Vancouver, and it's one of the few times that I actually listened to my mother. Mm-hmm. So in Canada, in order to go to architecture school, you had to have a degree in something else, a bachelor's degree. So I decided, per her recommendation, to study interior design, and I went to school in Los Angeles. And at the time, we shared a studio with USC, the University of Southern California, the architecture school, and I was in the interior design program at a university called Woodbury. And I sort of saw what they did, heard that their schedules were 5 years long, and thought, that's not for me. And I fell completely and totally in love with interior design. So while I have a passion for architecture, really my degree is in interior design, and I've basically since really long time, 80s.
You can say that. It's a good time.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah. It's an area of inclusion and diversity, so age also matters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially I think I've been working now for about 35 years in interior design, and was really fortunate that I found my passion. You know, again, the one time I listened to my mother, but it was absolutely the right thing to do.
So was it an ambition of yours to come to Gensler, with it being, you know, one of the biggest, well, the biggest architectural and design firm in the world? Yeah,
I mean, that's also kind of an interesting story because, you know, it took me a bit to get to Gensler. But I remember I was living, after graduation from university in Los Angeles, I moved to San Diego, and I lived there for 10 years. And during that time, my best friend from university was a rep, and she would call on Gensler in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles office. And she kept saying to me, oh, you really need to check out this firm. They're amazing. There's people from all over the world. It's really diverse. They do all this incredible work. So she was like, there's something about it that I feel like it would be right for you. And so a few years later, when I felt that I was ready, I applied for Gensler in San Francisco. And the first time I got a rejection letter. So, or actually I went and interviewed and I got a rejection letter, but it's, you know, at the time it was also the middle of a recession.
We've all had rejections letters.
Yeah, exactly, right. I mean, I think,
it's part of the process,
yes, right? Absolutely, yeah. And then fast forward many years later, and essentially the rest is kind of history. You know, I think in the first couple of weeks that I started at Gensler, if you'd asked me if I'd be here 25 years later, it's actually my 25th anniversary is going to be on May 13th this year. So,
is that going to be another party?
Oh, yeah, I think so, hopefully, yeah. I think we get like a trip or something like that. Yeah. But it's been an absolutely amazing journey. You know, I mean, I have to say, like, you know, for a little Canadian kid, you know, to end up living in London, you know, I think Gensler is all about, you know, providing a place for people to pursue their personal passions. Yes. And I think that's been really, really true for me. I mean, basically, anything that I've wanted to explore, the different positions that I've wanted to try or whatever, you know, it's really been unlimited, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's an incredible, I mean, playground might not be the right word, but it is an incredible playground upon which to kind of build your career. So it's been an incredible journey, and I'm very grateful. So, yeah. And
now, so you're principal now?
Yes.
So you're leading young teams, or
yes,
even all teams, I don't know. So how do you mentor, inspire your team, and encourage them to grow? What's your trick, or is it your experience that helps?
That's a great question. I think it kind of goes both ways, right? It's like, what I love is, like, you get to a point in your life, in your career, and you can probably relate to this, where it's like,
I don't know, what do you say?
Where all of a sudden it's like you really want to give back, and you want to teach and mentor and share everything that you've learned over the course of you know, a very long career. Yeah. You know, I'm not done yet, so I mean, that's the other part of it, right? At the end of the day, it has to be kind of about them, and sort of like treating each person and kind of approaching them as an individual, and sort of seeing where they're coming from, and how potentially I can somehow, with what I'm sharing, you know, what I'm sharing will resonate with them.
And do you feel over time people's ambitions have changed when you see young people entering?
There's so much discussion these days about like, oh, millennials or Gen Z or whatever, right? And it's funny because, like, when I was young, I was ambitious. I'm sure you were too, right?
But
You know, and I remember
comes with
looking.
being young.
Yeah,
I think,
right?
right?
Yeah, and I remember looking at my bosses thinking, I could do that, right? And you know, I think it's no different, right? You know, so in many ways, you know, I'm kind of blown away.
Do you think that people are more aware that surroundings have a big effect on the quality of your life? You know,
Yes.
you work and live in a beautiful space. It makes you
Yeah.
happier. It makes you more productive.
I mean, I think that's why, in many ways, those of us that focus mostly on interiors, I mean, the building obviously matters too, right? The base building architecture. However, what people look, touch, feel, and use and experience is the interior.
So you're a principal now, so you manage people, you manage teams. Do you still get your hands dirty and
Absolutely.
do the basics?
Yeah.
Is that what you love?
Not as much as
Do you have time for it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to, otherwise a little piece of my heart, you know, it dies. Yeah, so, you know, not as much as I'd like, because it's more, for me, it's more about hopefully sort of inspiring the teams or framing ideas or sharing things that have happened from experience, and then really giving them the bandwidth to sort of explore, right? And then if I need to, I can step in, but oftentimes I don't. I'm always kind of blown away with what, you know, what they come up with. But yeah, so I think I will always be a designer in my heart of hearts. I'm a designer, and a piece of my soul will die if I don't do something. You know, every so often I just need to put pen to paper and do a little space plan or something, or pick a piece of furniture. So
where do you see yourself going from here? Do you have another goal or another ambition? I mean,
right now the primary goal is to give back, right? To give back to the people that I work with, that hopefully want to learn from what I have to share, to continue to do incredible work, to be relevant, right? To stay stimulated.
Yes.
And you know, to really enjoy the journey. I mean, that's actually one thing I love living about, or about living here, is there's such a better focus on work-life balance, right?
And do you have a favorite place or building or?
I mean, with the pandemic, you know, pretty much good chunks of London weren't accessible to us for about 2 years, right? So now we're like kids in a candy store, my partner and I. But I'd have to say there's probably a couple. I mean, I love the Tate Modern just for all the incredible contemporary art, because I love contemporary art. But at the moment, our real favorite is the Royal Opera House, and going to see the ballet. The Royal Ballet is incredible. We saw Dante's Project there a couple of months ago, and it just sort of blew our minds. Like, we were big supporters of SF MoMA, and then also of the San Francisco Ballet. So being able to kind of get back into the arts and get inspired. I mean, I find the arts just, you know, probably, I mean, incredibly inspirational.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
It's all beautiful.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it was lovely chatting to you, Collin, and to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
And
so,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me to do this. It's been an absolute pleasure and delight. So,
okay. Likewise. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.